Clara stepped out of her car, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The sprawling ranch loomed before her, bathed in the warm glow of the afternoon sun. She had dreamt of working in a place like this, surrounded by nature and the promise of new beginnings. Yet a sliver of unease twisted in her stomach as she approached the entrance. The grand facade of the main house felt imposing, its weathered wood and stone whispering secrets of the past. As she walked towards the entrance, the sound of her boots crunching on the gravel echoed in the stillness. Clara looked around, taking in the vast expanse of land that stretched out before her. Fields of golden wheat swayed gently in the breeze, and the distant hills painted a picturesque backdrop. It was undeniably beautiful, yet there was something peculiar about the atmosphere, something that made her skin prickle. "Welcome to the ranch," a cheerful voice called out, breaking her reverie. Clara turned to see a tall woman with sun-kissed skin and bright eyes approaching her. "I'm Sarah, the manager here. You must be Clara." Clara nodded, grateful for the warm reception. "Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get started." Sarah smiled, but Clara noticed a flicker of concern in her eyes. "You'll be working in the forbidden wing," she said, her tone shifting slightly. "It's a bit different from the rest of the ranch." "Forbidden wing?" Clara echoed, a mix of curiosity and apprehension washing over her. "It's where we keep the older buildings in storage. Not much happens there, but it's important to follow the rules. We have to maintain a certain atmosphere." Sarah's words were carefully chosen, as if she were treading lightly around a sensitive topic. Clara couldn't help but feel a thrill of intrigue. "I understand. I'll be sure to follow the guidelines." "Good," Sarah replied, her smile returning, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Let me show you around before your shift begins." As they walked through the ranch, Clara tried to absorb everything. The sound of horses whinnying in the distance, the faint scent of hay, and the warm sunlight casting playful shadows created an enchanting scene. However, the atmosphere shifted as they approached the forbidden wing. The buildings here were older, the wood faded, and the windows clouded. There was a stillness and unsettling quiet that made Clara's heart race. "Here we are," Sarah said, gesturing to a large wooden door that creaked ominously at the slightest touch. "This is your domain. Just remember, keep to yourself and don't wander too far into the wing. Some things are better left undisturbed." Clara nodded, the weight of Sarah's words sinking in. "Got it. I won't venture where I shouldn't." Sarah left her to settle in, and as Clara stepped inside, she felt an odd sensation wash over her. The air was thick with mystery. Dust motes floated lazily in the sunlight, and the creaking floorboards echoed like whispers from another time. She could feel an inexplicable tension enveloping the space, a sense that she was not entirely alone. As she organized the supplies in the small storage room, Clara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was a sensation that prickled at the back of her neck, a shadow that flickered just out of view. The silence seemed to amplify every sound, the whisper of her movements, the soft rustle of fabric, and the distant sounds of ranch life outside. In the midst of her work, she caught herself glancing towards the door frequently, half expecting someone to appear. The thought that she was alone in this wing felt increasingly unsettling, yet curiosity gnawed at her, urging her to explore. Just as she was about to step deeper into the wing, she heard a noise, a subtle rustle like footsteps echoing from somewhere beyond her line of sight. Clara paused, her heart thumping in her chest. She shook her head, dismissing it as her imagination. After all, this was just a ranch, and she was just an eager newcomer. Moments later, a figure emerged from the shadows, causing Clara to jump. It was Ethan, a ruggedly handsome man with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. He wore a work shirt that clung to his frame, and there was an undeniable strength in his posture. A flicker of surprise crossed his face as he noticed her. "Hey there," he said, his voice low and warm, easing her initial shock. "I didn't mean to startle you." Clara felt her cheeks flush. "It's okay. I didn't expect anyone to be here." Ethan nodded, glancing around the dimly lit space. "This wing isn't often visited. Are you settling in all right?" Yeah, just getting used to the place, she replied, trying to sound casual, even though her heart raced at the unexpected encounter. I'm Clara, by the way, new here. Ethan, he introduced himself, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. I work on the ranch, mostly outdoor tasks. They exchanged small talk, and Clara felt a strange connection sprouting between them. Each word held a weight, a tension that was palpable in the air. There was something about his presence that both intrigued and intimidated her. Have you been working here long? Clara asked, trying to steer the conversation. A couple of years, he replied, his gaze flickering towards the shadows. It's a good place, though a bit peculiar at times. His response sent a shiver down her spine, and she couldn't help but wonder if he knew something she didn't. Before she could delve deeper, Ethan glanced at his watch and frowned slightly. I should get back to my work. It was nice meeting you, Clara. Nice meeting you too, she said, her voice softer than intended. Ethan disappeared back into the shadows, leaving Clara feeling a mix of excitement and confusion. Who was this man, and why did he have such a profound effect on her? As she resumed her work, her mind drifted to him, a stranger who had ignited a spark of curiosity in her heart. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The ranch was filled with secrets, and Clara was determined to uncover them, even if it meant wandering through the forbidden wing. The mystery of Ethan lingered in her thoughts, weaving itself into her sense of belonging. As she worked, she couldn't help but wonder what stories the shadows held and what role she would play in the unfolding drama of the ranch. Clara settled into her routine at the ranch, navigating the delicate balance between her tasks and the ever-present sense of mystery surrounding the forbidden wing. Each day she would organize supplies, clean, and attend to the occasional request from the ranch staff. The initial thrill of her new job began to blend with an undercurrent of apprehension as the whispers of the ranch's history echoed in her mind. As she dusted the shelves in the storage room one afternoon, she found herself lost in thought, pondering the stories Sarah had shared about the ranch. The tales of the forbidden wing had piqued her curiosity, yet a small voice urged her to remain cautious. She couldn't quite shake the unease that settled in her stomach every time she looked toward that ominous door. Clara's days were filled with small interactions with the other ranch workers, each encounter enriching her understanding of this unique place. There was Jacob, a jovial man with a quick laugh, who recounted tales of the wild horses that roamed the far pastures. And then there was Lily, a soft-spoken woman with a talent for baking, who often shared cookies with Clara during breaks. These moments bolstered her spirits, making her feel less like an outsider. Yet as she exchanged pleasantries and shared smiles, her thoughts frequently returned to Ethan. Those fleeting moments they spent together were etched in her memory, the way his eyes seemed to hold a depth of knowledge and secrets. In the brief conversation they shared, she felt an almost magnetic pull towards him, an inexplicable connection that left her yearning for more. One bright morning, Clara found herself completing her tasks earlier than usual. The sun streamed through the windows, painting the room in golden hues. A thought crossed her mind. Perhaps she could venture out and catch a glimpse of Ethan in his element. The thought thrilled her, but she hesitated, nervous about crossing the invisible boundary that separated them. After a moment's deliberation, she decided to take a walk around the ranch grounds instead. As she stepped outside, the fresh air filled her lungs, revitalizing her spirit. The sprawling field stretched endlessly, dotted with grazing horses and gently swaying grasses. Clara marveled at the beauty of the landscape. The sight enveloped her, making her worries feel distant. As she strolled, Clara's mind wandered to her interactions with the staff, the laughter she shared with them, and her growing bond with Ethan. She found herself imagining what it would be like to know him better, outside the confines of their brief encounters. What did he enjoy? Did he have dreams that extended beyond the ranch? Just as she turned a corner, she almost bumped into Ethan. He stood there leaning against a fence, observing the horses running in the distance. The sun glinted off his dark hair, casting a halo around him, and in that moment, time seemed to slow. Clara's heart raced as he turned to face her, his expression shifting from surprise to a warm smile. "Hey, Clara," he said, pushing himself off the fence. "I didn't expect to see you out here." "I needed some fresh air," she replied, feeling her cheeks flush. "It's beautiful on the ranch." Ethan nodded, his blue eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It really is. I love watching the horses. They have a way of reminding you what freedom feels like." Clara felt a flutter in her chest as she listened. The passion in his voice was palpable, and she couldn't help but be drawn deeper into conversation. "Do you ride?" she inquired, genuinely curious. "Here and there," he said, shrugging. "I grew up around horses. It's hard not to fall in love with them when you spend so much time working with them." "Must be nice," she said, her tone laced with envy. "I've always wanted to learn, but I've never had the chance." "Maybe I could teach you," he offered, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. "It's not as hard as it looks, I promise." Her heart raced at the suggestion. "I'd like that, really." The idea of sharing a moment alone with him, just the two of them and the horses, sent her thoughts spiraling into daydreams of possibilities. The conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and shared stories. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, and even the quirky antics of the ranch animals. Each word exchanged felt like a thread weaving them closer together. However, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the fields, Clara felt an uncomfortable shift in the atmosphere. There was a fleeting moment where their laughter faded, and the weight of unspoken words hung heavily between them. Clara felt a pull in her chest, as if something deeper simmered just beneath the surface. "Look, I should probably get back," she said reluctantly, her heart sinking at the thought of ending their conversation. "I have some tasks to finish before it gets dark." "Of course," Ethan replied, his voice tinged with a hint of disappointment. "I'll see you around, Clara." "Yeah, see you," she said, turning to leave. But she couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter was significant. Something in the way he looked at her simmered with an intensity that left her breathless. Back in the confines of the storage room, Clara attempted to focus on her tasks, but her mind drifted back to Ethan and their conversation. There was an unspoken connection that lingered in the air, one that felt as though it was just the beginning of something extraordinary. She caught herself smiling at the thought of him teaching her to ride, and the image of his grin played in her mind like a cherished memory. The mysterious allure of the forbidden wing still echoed, but now it felt less intimidating. Instead, it had morphed into a challenge, an invitation to explore not just the ranch, but the complexities of her growing feelings, leave alike to help the channel grow. As Clara organized the supplies around her, she felt a stirring in her heart, a desire to uncover the secrets of the ranch and the man who haunted her thoughts. Each day presented a new opportunity to connect the threads of their shared lives, and she was ready to dive deeper even as uncertainty loomed on the horizon. The ranch held mysteries, and Clara was determined to unravel them, beginning with the enigmatic figure that was Ethan. Clara's heart raced as she entered the forbidden wing, the air thick with an unsettling silence that sent shivers down her spine. She had heard whispers among the staff about this part of the ranch, tales of its long-abandoned rooms and the secrets that lay within. Today, curiosity pushed her to explore, fueled by the connection she felt with Ethan. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floors as she stepped further inside. Her fingers brushed against the peeling wallpaper, and she inhaled the musty scent of neglect. Each room was a time capsule, filled with remnants of the past. Dust motes danced in the fading light, capturing fleeting memories of what this place used to be. Clara felt a mix of thrill and apprehension, her mind racing with possibilities. What if she found something that would change everything? Just then, a creak echoed through the hallway, jolting her from her thoughts. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Were the rumors true? Had someone really been lurking in the shadows? As she strained to listen, she thought she heard soft footsteps. Her pulse quickened, the idea of being discovered sending a rush of adrenaline through her veins. Taking a deep breath, Clara ventured deeper into the wing. The first room she entered held an old, ornate mirror, its glass tarnished and cracked. She could barely make out her reflection, the ghost of a girl who was discovering more than just a job on this ranch. She was peeling back layers of herself, uncovering hidden desires and dreams. The image flickered, and for a moment she saw Ethan standing just behind her. His presence felt so real that she nearly turned around. But when she did, the room was empty, the silence echoing her disappointment. She continued her exploration, each step filled with anticipation. A velvet-lined trunk caught her eye, half hidden under a dusty sheet. She hesitated for a moment, glancing over her shoulder, then knelt beside it. As she lifted the lid, a cloud of dust burst forth and she coughed, waving her hand in front of her face. Inside, she found an assortment of items: faded photographs, letters tied with fraying twine, and a small wooden box adorned with intricate carvings. Clara's fingers trembled as she opened the box. Inside lay a delicate silver locket. She held it up to the light, the tarnished metal gleaming softly. Her mind began to race, wondering whose it was and what stories it held. With every glance at the locket, an urge to uncover its owner's identity grew stronger. She couldn't shake the feeling that these items had a connection to Ethan. Just then, a voice interrupted her reverie. "What are you doing in here?" It was Ethan, standing at the doorway, his expression a mixture of surprise and concern. The sight of him sent a rush of emotions through Clara: relief, excitement, and an overwhelming sense of apprehension. I was just looking around," she stammered, her heart sinking at the realization of being caught. "I didn't mean to trespass." Ethan stepped closer, his gaze shifting from the trunk to her face. "This place isn't meant for visitors. It's better left alone." "But look at all this history," she said, her voice gaining strength. "There are so many stories hidden away. Don't you ever wonder about them?" He sighed, his expression softening. "I do, but some stories are better left untold. The past can be painful." Clara felt a pang of sadness in his voice, realizing that his connection to this place ran deeper than she understood. "You have a right to know what happened here," she urged, stepping closer, her curiosity sparking something more profound between them. "Maybe," he replied, his eyes narrowing slightly as he took in the locket in her hand. "But it's not just the history of the ranch that we should be worried about. There are things that can change the way we see everything, things that can break trust." Her heart dropped at the underlying message in his words. She understood that he was alluding to his secret. The weight of his identity pressed heavily on her, as if an invisible barrier stood between them. She wanted to reach across it to tear down the walls he had built, but fear held her back. Ethan was more than just a worker on the ranch. He was the owner, a fact she had yet to learn, and she was unaware of how it would shift the dynamics of their relationship. "Ethan, what are you not telling me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The tension in the air thickened as they locked eyes. He took a step back, his expression becoming guarded. "Clara, there are things about this ranch, about me, that aren't what they seem. I can't share everything, not yet." Disappointment coursed through her. She had thought they were building something special, an understanding that transcended the surface. But now she felt the distance growing between them, a chasm created by secrets. The very thing that drew her to him felt like a wall, separating them with uncertainty. "I just want to know you," Clara pleaded. "The real you." Ethan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "And that's why I can't. I've kept my distance for a reason, Clara. I don't want to hurt you." "By telling me who you are?" Her voice cracked, the frustration bubbling to the surface. "Is it really that simple?" "It's complicated," he replied, frustration mingling with desperation. "I have my reasons, and I can't put you in the middle of this." "But I'm already in the middle of it," Clara exclaimed, her emotions spilling over. "You've drawn me in, Ethan. I care about you. I can't just walk away." A silence settled between them, heavy with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the struggle between wanting to reveal his truth and the fear of her reaction. Clara's heart ached for the man standing before her, the one who had started to feel like more than just a colleague. She couldn't understand the depth of his secrecy, but she wanted to. "Please," she whispered, her voice softening. Just tell me why." As the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the room in a soft golden glow, Clara sensed this moment could either bring them together or push them apart. The choice hung between them like a fragile thread, and she could only pray that whatever truth lay hidden would lead them to each other rather than away. Comment what your favorite moment was and turn on notifications. Clara's heart was filled with uncertainty, but she knew one thing for sure. She needed to understand Ethan, and that meant uncovering the truths he held so tightly. The mysteries of the ranch extended beyond the walls of the forbidden wing. She felt it in her bones. And with that conviction, she took a step toward bridging the distance between them, hoping against hope that the revelation would lead to a connection stronger than any secret that had come between them. The heavy silence stretched between Clara and Ethan, a palpable tension thick enough to cut. As the last rays of sunlight filtered through the dusty window, casting a warm glow that contrasted sharply with the chill in the air, Clara felt the weight of his words pressing down on her. She had uncovered a secret that could shatter everything they had begun to build together. And yet here they were, standing on the precipice of understanding and misunderstanding. "Why can't you just tell me the truth?" Clara's voice was barely above a whisper, her emotions swirling like the dust motes floating in the sunlight. She longed to reach out and bridge the gap, but uncertainty held her back, anchoring her in place. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration mingling with helplessness in his gaze. "Some things are more complicated than they seem, Clara. I never wanted to deceive you, I wanted to protect you." "Protect me from what?" she questioned, her heart racing. "From knowing who you really are? From understanding the man I've come to care about?" The words poured out of her, fueled by a mixture of anger and confusion. She had thought that by uncovering the mysteries of the ranch and by extension Ethan himself, she could find connection and truth. Instead, she felt like a stranger in a place that was supposed to be a haven. "From the reality of this place," he replied, his voice strained. "There are expectations, people watching. If they knew I was here, things would change. I could lose everything. Not just the ranch, but you too." Clara's heart twisted at his words, the implication of his fear seeping into her own. "You think I wouldn't stand by you? That I'd just walk away if I knew the truth?" "It's not that simple," he countered, stepping back as if the distance between them could alleviate the tension. "I care about you too much to let you get hurt by my choices." His admission hung in the air like a fragile promise, one that both thrilled and terrified her. She stepped forward, daring to close the distance. "But you're hurting me now by keeping secrets. I want to know you, the real you, not just the version you think I can handle." Ethan's expression softened momentarily, and she saw the man behind the walls he had built. "I can't change the past, Clara. My family has a history intertwined with this ranch. A history that's not just filled with pride, but also with pain. I thought I could keep it separate from you, that I could enjoy what we have without dragging you into the mess." Clara felt a rush of understanding wash over her, mingling with her frustration. His struggle felt familiar. Everyone had their burdens to bear, and she had no intention of turning away from him because of his past. But hiding from your own past won't help you move forward. It'll only keep you trapped. Ethan's eyes flickered with uncertainty. "What if I told you I was the boss of this ranch? What if that changed everything? Would you still see me the same way?" Clara paused, her breath hitching as the gravity of his words sank in. This entire time she had thought of him as just another worker, a man who shared her burdens and dreams within the rugged beauty of the ranch. The truth seemed to hang in the air, a specter that loomed larger than her feelings for him. "You're not just a boss," she replied carefully, searching his gaze for the sincerity she had come to trust. "You're a person, Ethan. That's what I care about." He stepped closer again, their eyes locking in a moment of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had both been on. "I need you to believe that, even if I've hidden who I am." In that moment, Clara felt the walls around her heart begin to crack. She reached out, her fingers brushing against his arm, a simple act of connection that spoke volumes. I want to know you, Ethan. All of you. The good, the bad, the complicated. Let me in. Ethan's gaze softened, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. You deserve honesty, and you deserve a choice. Taking a deep breath, Clara steadied herself, feeling the gravity of this moment. Then let me choose, she urged, her voice steady. Let me decide what it means to stand by you. As she stepped back, giving him space to process her words, Clara felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. She had been drawn to him for a reason, and she wasn't going to let fear dictate their fate. With the realization of who he truly was, she also understood that their connection could withstand the pressures of his past, as long as they faced it together. I'll tell you everything, Ethan finally said, his voice barely a whisper. We can figure this out together, but I need you to trust me. The sincerity in his tone wrapped around her, filling the void left by uncertainty. I trust you, Ethan. I really do. The words felt liberating, a promise of newfound understanding that they were both willing to work for. As they stood there, the sun disappearing completely behind the horizon, Clara felt a sense of vulnerability wash over her. This was the beginning of something honest and complicated, just as life was meant to be. She couldn't predict what lay ahead, but she knew that by acknowledging their truths, they were forging a path forward, a path filled with possibilities. In that quiet moment of connection, Clara realized that while their journey might not be perfect, it would be genuine. The weight of secrets lifted slightly, and she could finally see a glimmer of hope for what could arise from the ashes of misunderstanding. They would confront the past and move toward a future that, while uncertain, felt brighter than before. As Clara stepped into the unknown, she knew one thing for sure. They were in this together. And that perhaps was enough to light the way forward.